Coming up on Theater Talk.
A friend of mine is doing a workshop right now that's costing $300,000 for a workshop.
Wow.
With a set and costumes and
Is it any
wigs
good?
and
Is
why,
it-
like, just put on the freaking show.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm producer Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
So, Michael, it is the 51st anniversary of the movie of West Side Story.
Which also happens to have been one of the greatest musicals ever written, choreographed, directed. Brilliant, brilliant classic American musical, a great movie, still holds up, and I'm delighted tonight to be joined by people who were there from the very beginning. We have with us the guys who were in the movie back then. I want to welcome Eddie Verso, Harvey Evans, David Bean, and Bert Michaels, who has put together a new book, Our Story, Jets and Sharks Then and Now. It's the inside story of the making of the movie of West Side Story, as told by cast members from the movie. Gentlemen, welcome and congratulations on the book, Bert.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, I got to ask you first, Jerome Robbins, I would argue the greatest director-choreographer of the 20th century. One hears, though, he was an absolute terror to work with. True?
Absolutely to other people, not to me, never.
Never, no.
Never. I first did Peter Pan with Jerry in 1954. I was 14 years old. Right from the onset, I was the first one picked. Everybody in the audition did everything I did. Jerry was absolutely elated, and from then on, for the next 10 years, he never said a bad word to me. And it was wonderful working for him. It was tough, but I was brought up, you know, my father was kind of strict. He said, David, yes, sir. If he said Dave, I'd say, yeah, Dad. You know, Jerry was the same way. And if you worked hard for him, he absolutely adored you. If you show signs of slacking off a bit, he'd kill you.
Eddie, your experience with Jerome Robbins?
Well, I worked with Jerry from West Side Story until, I don't know, I did ballet theater, Joffrey Ballet. So I left his employ, I would say. Actually, I'm still working for the Robbins Foundation, Robbins Rights Foundation. I set some of his ballets on other companies around the world. And I've never had a problem with Jerry, but then again, I was one of the golden people that whatever I did was right.
Ta-da,
right.
All right, I got to get some real stuff. We got it for the biggest gossip in town, Harvey Evans.
You're not going to get it. No, and I swear to God, I'm like with Cheetah. He made us better. And also, I think from the older crowd, we were used to dictators. We grew up with dictators. Fosse was a dictator. Gower was a dictator, certainly. So I was used to that. Younger people aren't. And that's where you hear more bad stories about Jerry from his later years, like the
Jerome Robbins Broadway. I mean,
yeah,
I heard,
that was bad.
They lived in terror of it.
There are some terrible stories. I witnessed none of that. I mean, I can't. The movie was fine.
Your sense?
I didn't work for Jerry until the movie.
Right.
And I went to the audition and from an all-night party, and I wasn't. So I went in bombed, and 5 hours later I came out and said, "What did I do to myself?" I don't know, but I would do the knee spins and all that stuff, which I had nailed in, and I didn't have knee pads. And at one point, Tommy Abbott came over and said, "Jerry said you don't have to do the knee spins because you don't." I said, "I'll do the knee spins if that's what's set." And I think that's what got me.
That's what got you in.
I think so, because he only said one thing to me that was like, what? You know, when I was up singing a thing, and he said, "Don't be Al Jolson." I was
We never knew that. That's
yeah,
funny.
we were
Don't
up
be
at
Al
the-
Jolson.
you know,
What were you doing?
Yeah, I was up there with the.
on his knee.
You didn't pay any attention to him, obviously.
No, I didn't. I'm very good at not paying attention.
Right. It's fascinating, the people who came together to create this musical. Jerome Robbins, Steve Sondheim, Arthur Lawrence, Leonard Bernstein. Who was the center of power there?
Jerry.
Jerry.
No
Jerry
question.
was running everybody.
Everything.
Definitely.
Nobody did anything without Jerry.
Right.
Jerry was the final.
And Arthur, because, you know, Arthur Lawrence, who yeah, I thought was a friend of mine, but Zing being a new book of his that just came out. I always got the sense
you
that
get it?
Yeah, I did get it. But that Arthur was, this driving force, and Arthur always claimed that, West Side Story was his idea, but it was Arthur did what Jerry told him to do.
Absolutely. Everybody did. The only person that I ever saw, I don't know if you guys know, that Danny Pfapp, the cinema photographer. Jerry, I saw Jerry a couple of times and Bob Wise discussing where they wanted this shot, where they wanted that shot, where they wanted this over there. And I was standing over there by Danny Pfapp, and I looked at Danny and I said, "What do you think?" He said, "There," and that's where it was. I mean,
He was the cinematographer.
The cinematographer,
So Jerry was so smart that he was deferring to someone who knew a little bit more about movie making than he may have known at
Yes,
that
but
point.
Jerry was adamant about trying things.
boy,
I remember there was
absolutely.
a thing about in Cool, go crazy, cut, go crazy, and Jerry wanted go and don't stop the camera and blur it, and then crazy here, and then don't stop the camera and blur it. And Robert Wise said that is not possible to do. And Jerry said, I want to try it. And I know that we did try it. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
But yeah.
Now, where did you guys film? You filmed a movie on the streets of New York. Did some
Well,
Part
Lincoln
of them,
Center.
yeah.
by
the
Lincoln?
beginning,
Where Lincoln Center's there today, but we forget back then it was really.
facade of buildings.
Yeah,
Right,
brownstones. They left the fronts. They had demolished.
They were tearing it down.
They were tearing
so,
it down at the
there were
time.
nobody living on those streets.
Right.
And we had, when you see in the movie, being chased into a building, there was nothing on the other side.
So wait, so it
all
it was New York City though, like a backlot in a Hollywood.
You
studio.
got it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Just hit it
And we
perfect
weren't allowed to
timing.
play in the back lot. Because we had a lot of time to play. We
Yeah,
did
we
did
did
a lot of
a lot of
rain
playing.
dances.
Yes,
That
we
was
did
it.
rain dances, and he wouldn't let us after a while because it started to rain.
So, rain, so
3 or 4
explain-
days in a row at $50,000 a day.
We wanted to stay in New York, so we would do rain dance.
No.
And actually,
try-
they,
all right, wait,
yeah, so it would rain.
Tried to get rain to come.
And it
so-
did.
It did.
And it did. So
It
we
did
were
twice.
forbidden to do rain dance.
We were
honest
locked
to
on the
God.
bus. They'd put us on the bus and wouldn't let us out.
And you guys you had to leave New York to go to Hollywood to finish filming or something
Well,
like that, or how?
At the very beginning, we did about 6 to 8 weeks of filming in Los Angeles. Then we all flew to New York, and we had 6 weeks that we were going to do the prologue in New York. And we were going to be at the 61st Street, I think it was, where the Lincoln Center is. And then we were going to move up to 110th Street on the east side where the playground was.
Right.
Well, we were here 16 weeks.
Something like that.
I mean, it was
Yeah, it's a
they
long
were
time.
getting a little impatient because it was
Was it a fun set? I mean,
Oh
was
yeah,
it a
we
sense
always
that-
had fun on the set. This was never work. This movie was never work.
never. The interesting thing was Eddie in London, in the London company, was Baby John, a jet.
Right.
George Chakiris was a jet.
Yes, well, he was Riff, right?
He was Riff.
Riff, yeah.
Right. When we all arrived in New York, well, Eddie and I spent 6 weeks in Europe, touring around after we left the company in London. He got a call to come back to do a screen test. I didn't get a call at that time, so I stayed in London for a few weeks. We all arrive eventually in Hollywood. I'm not allowed to talk to him because he became a shark.
Oh, that was a Robin's way of.
Yeah, that was
The
true.
Jets and the Sharks,
yeah.
as actors, could not speak to each
That's
other.
what they worked toward.
It never happened.
You know, like 5 jets would see a shark on lunchtime, and we'd de-pants them or something like that. You know, and we actually were pretty rowdy on the set. I think
yes.
it was a studio where William Wilder or Billy Wilder, they shot their movies, and there was one day when we stole this big thing and was rolling it down the alleys of the thing.
Klieg-lights.
Spartacus.
Yeah.
We were
Who
doing
was that
Spartacus.
that came out and
I
complained?
don't know,
One
but
of
they
those
said
women.
unless you quiet these kids down, I'm taking my movies off this lot. So we got really reprimanded for that one
We
day.
would take that down and
We were
I'm Spartacus.
but we were encouraged to do it
It
too.
really didn't stop us, though.
No.
It really didn't stop us.
That's like not chorus boys, but a bunch of frat boys out
Oh,
there
yeah.
in Hollywood.
Yeah, they didn't
Well,
know how to handle us.
they wanted that. They knew that would
Yes.
be
That was the-
quality.
that was
and,
the-
yeah.
Now, Harvey, you were, if I'm not mistaken, were you in the original West Side Story?
No, I was the first jet replacement.
First jet replay. Any
Yeah.
one of you in the original? No.
Not in the original.
Can you just though? But you would have seen the show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God, yes.
Can you just take us back and what, as a young dancer, performer, the impact of West Side Story was when you first saw it, Eddie? Do you remember thinking this is something new happening in the musical theater?
I had to do that show. I had to do that show. It was so lifelike that I had to be on that stage doing that show.
You're going to get the same answer from 4 of them.
Bert, what did you think when you first saw
Well,
it?
I saw the Gypsy run through before they went out of town. I was friends with a guy who had a rehearsal studio on 44th Street, and says, here. So I went down to see it, and I'm sitting there, and Jerry comes out, and Jerry says, you know, their whole orchestra was Betty Wahlberg over there, and there's no costumes, there's no scenery, there's no lights, there's just us. And when he's over there talking to her, it's really just a fire escape, and it's the balcony scene, and just have a good time, and left. So I said, oh, all right. And after the first number and the first set, the entire audience, which made up nothing of gypsies, were on their feet. And it wasn't like, oh, I'll be chic and stand up. I mean, it was like that. And when Larry Kurt did that, and I remember this so distinctly, was singing Somewhere, and at the very end, he hit that high note that was just piercing right there. My hair went like that. And I stood up on my feet. What hair?
You guys,
Everyone used to have hair at one point.
and you're and remember when you first saw it, Harvey? When
I was in New Girl in Town, and it was produced by Griffith and Prince, who wound up producing. And we were told we were not going to be taken out of that show to put into West Side Story, so do not audition. And I had a lot of featured stuff in that. It was Fosse, and that was the reigning king at that point until Jerry took over with West Side. But as soon as I saw it, I had the same thing. And I went to Hal Prince, who was very approachable at that point, and I said, whatever you do, please let me audition for this show. So when they had the first jet replacement, I auditioned and got it, and they took me out of New Girl in Town and put me into West Side.
And David, the impact it had on you?
Well, basically, Jerry, because I had worked for him in Peter Pan,
right.
He called my agent and said, is David available? I'm doing this show called West Side Story. And my agent, without asking anybody, said, David's graduating high school in Los Angeles. He's not going to be doing any shows until he finishes high school.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
And I didn't know about it.
Really?
And I came to New York, and my sister and I, she was just coming back from Europe, and we saw it. I was blown away. I was on the floor. And Jerry called when he was putting in 58, when he put together the London company.
Right.
And he said, did you graduate? And I said, yes, with honors. He said, good, you're going to London.
Now, we got to wrap it up, guys. It's been great fun, but can I ask each of you, can you still do some of the dances of West Side Story? Can you still move?
Just in there.
Just in there, really?
No, I don't know. I think you probably do it, part of it full out, and then your body would say, don't do that again, I'm going to hurt you.
But you remember it?
Oh my gosh! No, you can't. Every step, every beat, every
Harvey?
Same thing. I can't remember the Scarlet Pimpernel. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I can't remember shows I did 3 years ago.
I can't remember some of those shows either, Harvey.
But I can remember all of West Side. And ironically, I did a little teaching thing last summer, and a friend of mine and myself we sort of marked cool until the knee slides and knee turns and all that. But it doesn't leave your body. That's
every ounce. We had a little reunion about a year ago, and we all went up to the east side at the playground. And we were recreating the whole steps. I remember every step.
And you too, Eddie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you do any of those steps anymore?
Yes.
When I close my eyes and look at them.
But is there anything you can sing for us? Like cool or anything? All right, yes.
The Sharks
Keep
are going to
going.
have their... Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Go ahead, Eddie. You're right.
Hey.
We got three jets and a
We
shark.
just turn our back.
Don't talk to each other.
Don't talk to him.
Actually, if you can sing a little something, it'd be nice to sort of sing us out with something from West Side Story. If you're...
No. No, I don't mean the prologue. Probably not. I don't think we should go out singing.
But you know,
I will.
All right.
Go ahead, Dave.
well, you know the old adage that we're dancers who sing, as opposed to singers who move.
That's right. There you go.
All right. The 51st anniversary of the movie of West Side Story.
It's real good, the book.
It's wonderful.
It got a fantastic review in Playbill.
Steven Susskind.
Loved this film. Yeah.
It's been a real pleasure having Eddie Verso, Harvey Evans, David Bean, and Bert Michaels.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to go home
for having
and
us.
look at you guys on the movie.
Melody that's sweet and low down. It laughs, it sings. The world is in rhyme. Swinging to 3/4
4/4,
swinging to 3/4
4/4,
3/4
4/4,
3/4
4/4.
swinging to 3/4 time.
So, Michael, I am so thrilled we have guests from the most fun musical I have seen on Broadway in a very long time.
Indeed, nice work if you can get it, which opened last season, but shows no signs of flagging. Still doing very, very well at what theater is that? They're at the Imperial, is it? The Imperial Theater. And two of the reasons It is holding up so well. Are two of its cast members who are among the funniest performers here in New York. We are very delighted to be joined by Judy Kaye, making her third appearance on Theater Talk from her Mamma Mia days, and Souvenir, where you played, what was the name of the woman who couldn't...
Florence Foster Jenkins, thank you very much.
who couldn't hit a note to save her life, but sailed on gallantly.
Yeah.
Welcome, Judy. And another fine, wonderful character actor, very, very funny man, Mr. Michael McGrath, who appeared in Born Yesterday, Memphis, and Spamalot, and won a Tony Award, his first Tony Award for Nice Work.
And Judy won her
second Tony Award. So now I got to ask you guys, going into the Tonys, were you sort of positioned as kind of the underdogs, or was everyone predicting you when you go up to that Tony Award night and you're reading the prediction is this, or predicting that, or predicting this?
You know what? I remember who should win and who did win, who will win. We were always in the will win, not
I was never in the will
You
win.
were not.
You were not?
No, you, Judy, you were a
will
slam dunk.
Was I
on
a
the
slam
pole.
dunk? Really?
But
Okay.
You were will win, I was, what's he doing there?
Well, no. It wasn't what's he doing there, because everybody, you're fantastic. But for some reason, people were predicting. They were predicting well, not for
Servers,
some
right.
reason. They were predicting servers.
Well, they were predicting
completely
servers.
different.
See, I don't know why that role would even be in that category. Why would Perone be
Well, I think that's because then otherwise he wouldn't have gotten nominated at all for being the lead. But and
I
because they wanted
understand
Ricky
these
Martin to have a shot, which he didn't anyway. But
Right,
there you
right.
go.
But of course, you both have the same first name, Michael, and they say, and the winner is Michael.
Exactly.
Scott, what did you do at that moment?
It was that to tell the truth moment.
What was that like for you?
It's actually kind of a white room moment in a way. You know, you go, everything you think you're gonna say, it goes out.
Right.
For
You
me,
guys
it went,
really?
For me, it went out the
Do
window.
you really prepare the speech though that afternoon? I mean, do you write it out? Do you memorize? How does it work? Just give us the inside of being a nominee there.
Well, I did, because I didn't want to be hung up. And it was kind of an important moment in my life. I just lost my dad, and I knew that I had to find a way to pay tribute, but not go past the 90 seconds in total, and not be maudlin about. I just, I thought I better think about this.
I want to dedicate this to my dad. We lost him last week. And like me, he was a lifelong fan of the brilliance of George and Ira Gershwin. Thank you, Daddy, and thank you all. Good night.
That was a lovely speech.
Thank you.
And you, did you just wing it? Or?
I kind of winged it.
It's a thrill for me to be on Broadway. It's what I always wanted to do when I was a kid, and I'm getting the chance to do it. There are so many people to thank along the way. It's a list as long as a football field.
I thought a lot about who I wanted to mention and what I wanted to say, but every time I tried to think about it, I had to remind myself that I probably wasn't going to win. And I thought, like, if I made a complete speech, I was telling myself that I was going to win. So I didn't want to get that far in. So I just thought of a few thoughts, and I knew I had to mention my family and my wife. And I didn't mention my daughter, and I got a text from her the second I got off the stage. Thanks for not mentioning it.
Years of psychiatry now. When you started your relationship with Nice Work, if you can get it, were you invited to be in this, or did you have to audition?
Well, I will be totally honest. Some years ago, I was sent the script. There was going to be a reading of it. It was a long, long time ago, and I was otherwise engaged in some other reading or something, and I couldn't do it. I cut to, this is happening. I was actually had auditioned for the funny girl that was supposed to go into the Imperial.
Oh,
and, right. But I didn't get that job. I wasn't offered that. But then they were in negotiations with somebody else for this part.
Really?
As I get most of my jobs that way, actually.
As long as you get them.
That's right. In fact, I should stick to that, because it works out usually when I'm in second position and then just move in. But yeah, no, I did not audition.
How about you?
I actually auditioned for this show 11 years ago when it was at the Goodspeed Opera House.
Really?
It was this show is a later incarnation of what was called They All Laughed, which was at Goodspeed in 2001.
Oh, I remember that. They all.
And Joe's book.
Yeah, Joe DiPietro, yeah.
Originally supposed to be directed by John Rando, but then was directed by Christopher Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
I played Cookie in that production, and subsequently did maybe 6 or 7 readings over the past 10 years with casts that featured Sutton Foster as Billy and Cheyenne Jackson as Jimmy Winter, and
people who are now in the actors'
Mark
home.
Kudish as Jimmy Winter, and Aaron Dilley. I mean, just so many different. Katie Finneran as Eileen, and Kevin Chamberlain as Duke. I mean, I had so many different casts.
But they knew to keep you.
Well, I did all the readings.
Yes.
They didn't necessarily always keep me as Cookie if they were going to do a production. But there were some rough goes, but finally in the end, I ended up playing Cookie here, yes.
And you're the part you were born to play.
Kind of.
You guys have been around this business for a while. Do you ever get concerned that this workshop process that goes on and on and on and on and on kind of bleeds the life or the energy out of a show, that these workshops?
I think it can. I think it can.
Yeah.
I don't think it always does. In a perfect world, they learn a lot and they get it right as if there's such a thing as right. But I think they really get it as close as possible. But yeah, I think it's possible that it can just sort of they don't know when to quit. You know, they don't know when to stop playing and just get up and do it.
And workshops become kind of backers auditions after.
Well, they are. That's what they are.
That's what they're
Exactly
doing
what
now.
that-
I mean,
that's
That's
what
what they
readings
are.
are too now. It's like, you know, there's always money people at the readings. It's all and workshops are the same. I mean, but workshops are now becoming so elaborate.
Yeah.
I know a friend of mine is doing a workshop right now that's costing $300,000 for a workshop.
Wow.
With a set and costumes and
Is it any
wigs
good?
and
Is
why
it
like
any-
just put on the freaking show.
Is it any good?
I don't know.
Oh, he hasn't replied.
But Judy, when you were doing On the 20th Century, I mean, you know, were there elaborate workshops for that and whatnot?
No,
It was like
no.
you know, Cy comes in, Cy Coleman and Betty Comedy Green come in. Here's the score, and Hal Prince is directing, and
That's right. And we went out of town. We went to Boston. We went to the Colonial Theater and worked it out.
I guess that used to be the workshop.
Yeah, that's
And
what
there
you
was
do.
You had the experience in Spamalot, didn't you? You went out of town in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really fundamental, especially for a musical, to get it right. Because Spamalot was in very good shape. I saw it in Chicago, but there were a couple of numbers. One with a cow, I think, where you just think, that's got to
Which
go.
got cut,
but you
yes.
just know right there it's going to go. You know,
Right.
that's how it's going. That's how it's going to work.
Right.
You both are turning this wonderful performances. You won Tony Awards, but here you are in this show that stars Matthew Broderick and
Kelly O'Hara.
And
also.
Kelly O'Hara. And for example, in the recent, I don't know if you heard about this edition of Forbidden Broadway, there's a number where they're satirizing Matthew Broderick.
Melody by Gershwin, soaring high as the sky. Nice song if I could sing it, and when I sing it, you will cry.
The guy is Matthew Broderick.
Well,
But they always overstate.
as a Forbidden Broadway veteran,
You know, right?
I can tell you
It's done with
that
love.
They go for it's done with love. Oh, sure. It's sometimes it's the easiest, most common denominator. That we go for. Matthew gets laughs that no other person on this planet. This is someone coming from me who knows a little bit about getting a laugh. Matthew gets laughs that don't exist, and he squeezes every laugh he can possibly get out of that script, and he gets them consistently every single night.
Matthew's he's been around this block a long
Yeah.
time, and I think
He's an easy
I actually
target, I
think
think.
being on for Forbidden Broadway, being sent up by Forbidden Broadway is a badge of
Well,
honor.
it is,
not?
it is. Of course it is.
Absolutely.
I do want to ask you, as a Forbidden Broadway veteran, when you are doing these send-ups of people, do you ever think, ooh, am I going a little too far? Or the only way it works is if you just cut loose and do it.
Yeah, when you're in rehearsal and you get the when you're working on a new edition and you get the material, and you think like, I mean, my wife, who was with me in those days, Tony DeBono, she had to do a Barbara Cook number, which was "The sun comes up, I think about food," and it was not good. So, you know, she was like, "I don't think I can do this."
I think about
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Someone must
I
die.
know.
But you got to do it because it's going to get a laugh, right?
Bullying, right?
But I mean, I know Matthew, and I think Matthew would be the first to laugh at the.
Yeah,
he would laugh at the send-up in Forbidden Broadway.
No, he'll pile on. He'll say
I want
some
to
other.
go. I want to go with
go
him. I
further.
keep saying, "Let's go," you know.
Oh, you should. Absolutely.
We should take the whole cast
We should
over
just
there.
get it liquored up and
And
go.
scare the bleep out of them.
That would be great. All right, well, two terrific performances in Nice Work, if you can get it, by Michael McGrath. Did I say McGraw?
No,
No,
you said
McGrath.
McGrath, but it is McGrath.
it's not McGraw, because I
Somewhere
always thought it was
between an
McGraw, but then I see McGrath.
Just drop the T and then you can say it.
Michael
McGrath.
McGrath.
And you're doing great business. It's getting more and more.
At the Imperial Theater.
It's the funnest. It's the funnest.
The funnest? Is that
Come on down.
That funnest.
Michael McGrath and Judy, Kaye, and Nice Work, if you can get it. And let me know when the cast is going to go see Forbidden Broadway. I'll book a table.
Okay, great.
We'll all have a laugh. Nice Work, if you can get it at the Imperial Theater. Looks like it's going to be there for quite a while. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
By Joe! By Joe! By G! By G! By Strauss is the thing! Sing. So I say to her, just give me an papa. Darling, low. Let's see that low down, low down, low down, low down, low down. Grab the go, where the band is playing, making honey flow, everyone is saying,
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Alan S. Gordon Foundation, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.